Has anyone wrongfully assumed you were dumb and in the process made themselves look really dumb? What's your story? I was a service desk technician at a hospital helping a doctor reset his password. He kept misspelling the temporary password. It was welcome 12345. Turns out he thought welcome has 2 letters and freaked out at me citing his education and my, at the time, lack thereof as evidence that he was right. After going back and forth he got frustrated and handed me off to his nurse and left. She got it on the first try, then apologized to me for her boss's behavior. Funniest part was as she was hanging up I heard her talking to another nurse saying, "Yeah, Dr. Dumbass couldn't spell welcome again." I film and edit promotional videos, then post them on my company's YouTube channel. The day after I uploaded a particular run-of-the-mill video, my manager calls me into his office because one of our douchebag directors, who hates our department and loves undermining me in particular, emailed my manager and a few higher-ups. In the email he stated that I had messed up the promo video, because there were all of these other disgusting videos attached to it. As proof, he included a screenshot of the end of the video, where all the recommended videos appeared to star scantily clad Asian women in suggestive poses. Neither he nor my manager knew how YouTube algorithms worked, and that the videos were suggested because he, or someone on his account, viewed that kind of content before. I have no idea how my manager explained this to him. I love this one. Our school's schedule got revamped, which meant that one of our classes that was 2 periods long was cut in half to accommodate for all the changes. When I brought this up to the teacher I was co-teaching with, she called me an idiot and told everyone sitting in our table group that I wasn't very good at math, as everyone laughed. A few minutes later, the principal cleared up the new schedule, only for her to realize that she was wrong in the first place. Felt so good to see the look on her face when she realized she was the dumbass and not me. What kind of teacher calls someone an idiot and continues to make fun of that person? What a horrible person. Glad she had a reality check. Had a friend in college who was very full of himself. One morning while eating breakfast in the cafeteria someone said, "I wonder how bagels are made." I said, "I'm pretty sure bagels are boiled." The pompous friend then said, "What, are you stupid? Bagels aren't boiled. That's effing ridiculous." Someone did a quick Google search to find that bagels are, in fact, boiled. People seemed genuinely intrigued by this information. Wait, I thought they were baked. When I was in 8th grade, we just learned about the seasons and Earth's rotation and all that. To my surprise, my teacher taught us that the Earth is actually closest to the Sun during winter. But it's cold because of the tilt on the axis, not because of proximity to the Sun. The tilt determines the seasons. And then soon after that I went to math class and my math teacher said something about how it was freezing because we are so far from the Sun. And of course I piped up to tell him he was wrong according to what Mr. Science teacher had just taught us. My math teacher went off ripping into me so hard in front of the class. It was lighthearted. He was known for being funny and making fun of kids all the time. Him and I were going back and forth for a while, and I specifically remember him saying, "Oh yeah, because when I'm cold I move away from the fire." Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I kept arguing, no, it's because of the Earth's tilt. And so finally he Googled it, and I was right. He at least gave me credit and admitted he was wrong after that, laughing out loud. A Dutch couple visited my workplace, tourist visitor center, and insisted that the French translation on our map was wrong. The reasoning was that Groenland shouldn't be there because it was the Dutch word for Greenland, not the French one. I told them that Groenland was also the French translation, to which they chided back, "And how would you know? I'm bilingual. I speak French." I informed. Clearly, not very well. They insisted, then proceeded to ask for the Wi-Fi, so they could use Google Translate. Well, I gave them the Wi-Fi, and to Google Translate they went. Sure enough. Groenland. They didn't even apologize, they just said, "I guess the map is correct then," and left. Buttholes. Clearly a plot for free Wi-Fi. The Dutch will always find a way to get free crap. Didn't necessarily make anyone look dumb, but certainly made some people feel bad. I lived in Germany for a year after high school as part of an exchange program, and there were several times where I had to make phone calls. I had to call doctors, employers, program coordinators, etc., so I got fairly used to the whole telephone garb in German. I could speak pretty fluently on the phone, but since it's not my native language, I would of course make small grammatical errors and stuff like that. This led to the unfortunate situation where people would assume I was German when on the phone because I spoke well enough, but since I kept making mistakes, I was also stupid. People were quite rude to me over the phone, assuming that was due to the assumed stupidity. After revealing I was actually a foreigner, they always sounded so surprised and complimentary of my German and were much more helpful and polite afterwards. At work one day, writing a menu board for lunch specials. A couple comes in and start chuckling behind me. The lady gives me this snide look and says, "What's a sandwich?" It's spelled sandwich, honey. Ha ha ha, she wrote sand, like in the desert. I just smiled and didn't even correct her. That cocky stupidity was truly a sight to behold. It's clearly sandwich. I am an application developer in the public sector. I have made many of the computer programs where I work, such as the human resources, incident reporting, and some of the case management systems. Several times I have had people try to tell me, wrongly, how to use an application that I made. I especially like it when they tell me I should ask the people at the company, what company would that be? I tell them that it is very flattering that they think that the software was made by an entire company instead of by me alone in my office. Haha. Reminds me of the time we had a PM and his crew come in and brief our group on a migration they were about to do. What he laid out made no sense to anyone, and I figured I'd ask a few questions to maybe help him see the error in his ways. He got all pissed off that anyone would question his wisdom and asked who the hell I thought I was. The look on his face when I said the author of the procedure and code they were using was priceless. F you, Greg. Evan Greg, man, I swear. I had a paper returned to me this morning because I didn't write out all the names of the authors in the manuscript. I took a screenshot of their submission guidelines detailing author names must be formatted with the first initial followed by last name and sent it back. Got an apology email and a submission received notification a few minutes later. Academia, I swear to God. Was asked by my brother and girlfriend which planet is first starting from the sun. Was then belittled for 20 minutes after answering Mercury because they were adamant it was Venus. I was just disappointed because we are in our 20s. When I worked as a cashier in a grocery store, people would always want to argue about their produce. They would bring up heads of iceberg lettuce and then argue with me that they were green cabbage, or vice versa. I would always just smile, void the product, and then charge them for what they thought it was. The best was seeing people come back later pissed that their coleslaw didn't work. The best, though, was the sweet potato versus yam argument that I would have with people several times during the week leading up to Thanksgiving. Most of what we sell in the US are sweet potatoes, though some sweet potatoes grown in one state, Louisiana, are the yam variety of the sweet potato. But people often call them yams and will fight you over it, even though true yams are hard to find unless your store stocks stuff for Latin American customers. We did, but yams were rarely in stock and always more expensive than sweet potatoes. Anyway, sweet potatoes would go on sale for the holiday and people would buy lots of them. Every time I rang them up, I would get told that they were yams and that I was dumb for not knowing that. So I would void them and ring them up as yams for 4 times the price. When customers would want the sale price, I would kindly remind them that I had tried to give them the sale price but that they had asked me to ring them up as yams instead. You know, I knew that sweet potatoes came in a bunch of different varieties, and had always kind of assumed that yams were a type of sweet potato. Well, after falling down a wiki hole, I now know that not only are they different species, they are entirely unrelated, and their respective lineages diverged about 100 to 140 million years ago. So, thank you for pushing me to unlearn that particular factoid. Corporate trainer came to our offices to provide training. I popped into the room to say hello and see if she needed help. She was having trouble setting up the projector before the session. I started trying to help, but I'm not really savvy with projectors. She was getting frustrated with me as she assumed I was the IT dude, and obviously not a very good one. We eventually got it fixed, and I offered her a coffee. She was a bit rude to me by that stage. I got her one anyway. Fast forward to the session itself, and I introduced her to the room of 40 people and thanked her for coming. She realized I was the head of the division and was the one paying for her to be there. I felt very smug at that point. As someone who has traveled the world giving presentations, this person is an idiot. The on-site IT folks are pretty high up on the list of people not to piss off when you rely on their equipment to be able to do your job. My wife and I were traveling with a couple we worked with in South Korea. We weren't best friends with them, but they were nice enough, so we rented a car and traveled around the island of Jeju. Now, this is a small island and you could drive around it in 4 or 5 hours, but we were taking our time seeing the sights. The guy was a bit of a know-it-all, but they had been in Korea 6 months longer than us, so I always tools his advice. Anyways, I'm driving the car, and we are trying to find the place that we want to eat. I say something like we are going the right way. This guy responds with no, we are going south. Trust me, I majored in geography. I look straight ahead into the setting sun and respond with weird, we found the one place on earth where the sun sets in the south. Well, that crap him up for a while. When I was in the army, me and a group of specialists were standing in a circle, taking a break in the motor pool. A lieutenant came out and said he needed a forklift driver, went around the circle, pointed at each male and asked them if they had their license. None of them did. He huffed and walked away. He had obviously skipped over the other female and I in the circle. That was fine, we were the only 88M, heavy vehicle operators, and forklift licensed people there. The dudes were all paralegals and HR specialists. Everyone laughed. What an embarrassing moment for him. I'm currently a junior in college, and a couple of weeks ago when the semester started dying down, I left the dorms to come back home and finish things out online. I also started working at the local grocery store as well. Around a week ago, as I was checking out 2 customers when they told me they wanted to pay 50-50 with 2 cards. Our system requires us to manually enter the price, so I did, and the lovely gentleman told me my math was wrong and said he's a sophomore engineering student at a school nearby to help justify why he was correct. I respond, oh cool. I'm actually a junior at, insert much better engineering school. What are you studying? While also pulling up a calculator and showing him he was wrong. Everyone always assumes the workers here are dumb, so it's always nice to show them otherwise. I was working as a teller at the bank years ago, and a Karen was complaining about how slow and crappy my computer was. If I had been using an IBM, she'd have been out of there already. She works at IBM, they only make the best, fastest bank equipment. Blah, blah blah. I deliberately turned my slow, crappy IBM computer for her to look at. Not another word. When I was in 6th grade, our science teacher asked what is the shape of rainbow. I instantly answered saying it's circle. Then the so-called topper of our class looked at me and laughed and did some trash talk afterwards. When the teacher said circle is the correct answer, whole class laughed at her. Interrupted a group of Chinese girls on the subway in Beijing when they were saying some rude things about foreigners. A 6 ginger-haired white girl speaking Mandarin was clearly unexpected. My sister-in-law used to make fun of my English all the time. Whenever I mispronounced something, she would start laughing and telling everyone she's so cute, she can't pronounce this or that. I always considered her just a mean girl trying to keep the attention to herself, but the English thing really bothered me. One day we were drinking, and she started laughing at something I said. I lost it. I told her I speak 3 languages while she can barely speak English. We kept arguing until I said fine, let's prove it. We took a mock-up English test online and I got a perfect score. She got 8/12. That was the last day she laughed at me. Edit, spelling. Edit, thank you for the awards. It was a sweet victory. I just like to share this story to remind people to be kind and patient with others. Speaking English doesn't mean you're smarter than everyone else. Edit, wow, this blew up overnight. Some background for the story. I'm originally from Colombia, but now I live in Canada. I speak Spanish, English and French. To everyone that said I tried learning a second language but it's too hard, try again. It's worth it, and yes, it will take years and effort, but it will open your eyes to a whole new world. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, Please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.